Equinox and Optic Nerve getting ready for their first jump of the quarterfinals. Here they go. Dawn?
Okay, let's see these teams coming out the door. Optic Nerve, really nice exit. They're off to a great start. Equinox is having a little bit of a communication problem here. That's a shame. Once you get off, it's difficult to get back. Wow, Optic Nerve is done.
And Equinox still going. Unfortunately, looks like they're going to take the max time. 14.2 for Optic Nerve, 25 seconds for Equinox. Nemesis going up against Mr. Pink, their first jump of the quarterfinals. Dawn?
Okay, we have both these teams out the door. Boy, Nemesis really has a nice exit. They have a nice move out the door. That bought them a lot of time, gave them the early lead. They're cruising right along through this jump. Mr. Pink is doing okay, but they're just not keeping up with Nemesis. Nemesis is almost finished up, and there they go. Mr. Pink's going to have to finish up these last couple points here, but obviously they haven't been as quick as Nemesis.
15.4 for Nemesis, 22.1 for Mr. Pink. Take a look at this, I guess you'd call it helmet cam, here with Eric Taylor from the Land PD Blue. And as we know, videography is important. You couldn't judge it without your camera.
No, I think even though we're never seen by the spectators looking at the footage that's coming from my camera, the rules on these competitions are getting more and more stringent in that if the video flyer doesn't capture the maneuvers that the team is doing, then the team can get penalized as well. So that makes our job a little more important than it once was, in which if there was ever a video problem, it could just be erased and they could re-jump something. But now we're just as important. If we have a mistake, then the team's penalized just like if they do when they're flying together. So
let's take a look at PAH and PD Goal in the second round of the quarterfinals.
This should be a really great jump. It was a horse race between these two teams on the last jump, and this snowflake exit is a difficult exit. As we can see, both teams are struggling with it. It looks like PD Gold is struggling with it a little bit more than PAH, but it is a difficult exit. They put it back together, and they're going to get into that photon as quickly as they can. Both teams look like they've recovered pretty nicely from that exit, and it's a sprint from here on out. And it looks like PAH has pulled it out.
20.8 for PAH and 23.4 coming up for DeLand PD Goal. Optic Nerve and Equinox, their second jump of the quarterfinals. They're in the door, and they're ready to go.
Okay, we're going to see how these guys do with the snowflake exit. Wow, Optic Nerve, fantastic snowflake exit. That really saved them a lot of time. That makes a huge difference. These guys are having just a great skydive. Equinox is doing well, but that photon with some separation, that cost them. Optic Nerve, wow, they're done. They've got the fastest time on both of these dives so far in the meet.
Optic Nerve 16 seconds on their second jump. Equinox 20.1. And it's Mr. Pink and Nemesis, their second jump of the quarterfinals. They're in the door, and they're ready to go.
Okay, both of these teams are launching that difficult snowflake, and it looks like Mr. Pink has a little bit more trouble with it than Nemesis does. Nemesis, really a nice start to their dive. They're having a fantastic jump, whereas Mr. Pink struggles with some vertical there. That costs them some time, and they just don't have that time. Nemesis is rocking. In fact, Nemesis is done.
Mr. Pink still going. Nemesis 16.8. Mr. Pink doesn't complete it in time. They'll get the max, 25 seconds. After the second round of the quarterfinals, PAH has eliminated DeLand PD Goal in a mild upset. Optic Nerve defeated Team Equinox, and Mr. Pink was blown away by Team Nemesis. We're here with Team PAH, practicing here at the mock-up. Here with us, Team Captain Rodney Cruz. Rodney, tell me a little bit about the mock-up and about getting out of the aircraft. How important is this training?
It's pretty realistic. It's good for us because the door is actually about the size of the same one we'll be jumping out of at 10,500 feet.
So getting out of the door of the aircraft and getting out correctly, really the most important part early in the jump.
Yes, it sets a tone from the time you leave the plane until the time you get to your 35 seconds of working time and you finish your skydive out before you pull your parachute.
Are glasses or contacts restricting your active lifestyle? Here's what world champion athletes say about Dr. Joel Sugar's refractive eye surgery.
Seeing as the United States has never lost the 8-way competition ever since its introduction, there was a huge weight on our shoulders. So we didn't want to gamble. We sent Gary to the best. We sent Gary to Dr. Joel Sugar down in Perry, Florida.
My vision since the refractive surgery was a very, very strong part about the team winning a gold medal at the World Cup.
Call Dr. Joel Sugar today.
Dr. Sugar, your team's jumps in the quarterfinals, they certainly were sweet.
Thank you. Yes, they certainly were. Both jumps were excellent. The first jump perhaps a bit better, but both right in the zone. We were performing well.
What's it going to take in the semifinals to move on to the finals? Are you guys going to change anything?
No, we're not going to change a thing. We're skydiving really well in the zone, and we just need to continue to go up and perform just as well on the next 2 rounds as we did on the last 2 rounds.
Now, you're not just a skydiver, you're also an eye surgeon. How do the two mix together?
Well, actually, believe it or not, it's the same mental techniques that apply to what we do in the sky and apply to what we do in the operating room. Of course, I'm much better at what I do in the operating room because that's what I do. But skydiving's unique because it's a sport that's as competitive as like pro golf or pro tennis, yet the sport is small enough that on my team I have the equivalent of Bjorn Borg. It's just remarkable. And being able to train with world-class and world champion athletes, 2 of my teammates took bronze in the '97 World Meet. We learn those same mental techniques, and then I apply them to what I really do, which is eye surgery, and that's enabled me to reach that status in what I do for my day job.
And of course, good vision, a must here in skydiving as well.
Yes, and that's how I got involved in competitive skydiving. The current U.S. and world champions, Arizona Airspeed, came out from Arizona in 1995. One of their guys couldn't see, and the good vision was so critical. He came to Perry, Florida, where our business is located, and we did vision correction on him in '95, and that enabled them to go on, beat the U.S. Army team, the Golden Knights, and win the world championship for the USA. And I, in turn, learned a lot of their mental training techniques and applied them towards my eye surgery. And, of course, that also sparked my interest in competitive skydiving, and here I am today.
The underdogs, PAH, going up against the defending national champs to land PD Blue, their first jump of the semis.
Okay, we have another difficult exit coming up here, and as we can see, PAH has a lot of difficulty with it. Basically, that's going to cost them this round because PD Blue is really tearing this one up. It's important to note that the air out the door is softer and a lot more difficult to fly because they haven't reached terminal speed yet. The teams can lose a lot of time here if they don't have a good exit, as we've seen.
A quick 11.7 for DeLand PD Blue. For PAH, the final time, 23.8. This is going to be a tight matchup in the semifinals. Optic Nerve taking on Nemesis. Both teams are in the door. They're ready to go.
Okay, here we are out the door. Nice. Both teams do a good job with that open compressed step. This is going to be tight. Both of these teams are neck and neck here. I think this is really going to come down to a question of who makes more mistakes. We're going into the start-in, and it looks like both teams have opted to take the vertical, which I think is a smart strategy, but Nemesis by a nose.
Nemesis 14.1, Optic Nerve 15.2.